Hey guys, Chauncey Phillips here with my June 24th DVD update, where I talk about all the DVDs and Blu-rays I received a review and talk about for you guys over the last 2 weeks or so. Like I always say, guys, enjoy these update videos. Definitely give this video a thumbs up. Leave me comments below this video, to let me know about the titles I talked about and reviewed this update. Any titles coming up that you guys like me to review for future updates, and some of the DVDs and Blu-rays which you guys have picked up recently. Now, the first one I got from Lionsgate. This is one I was really interested in seeing, and this is, the reboot musical version of Dirty Dancing. And, like I said, I was really interested in seeing this one. I really love the original movie. In the original movie, too, there was such chemistry to that film, and Patrick Swayze was so good in the movie, and the chemistry between both of them in the film was really, really good. And this one, I don't know, they were taking the movie and turning it into a musical. And, when it comes to, TV musicals recently, I really liked Grease. I thought that one was actually pretty well done. And that was done live. So it was, a little bit of a different kind of experience. And you kind of saw, some of almost like the audience in a couple scenes kind of watching some of, the stadium scenes and stuff like that. And, I don't know, I like that one. This one, though, it was basically taking it had a lot of the famous songs and stuff like that from the original film, but they were actually having the characters singing them, and they weren't as good. Like the Patrick Swayze's original ones were just really amazing the way they were. I don't know, I just really love them, and they were kind of done in the original in montage scenes and everything, but in this one, the music was not that great, and I didn't think there was very much chemistry at all between Abigail Breslin and the guy playing Patrick Swayze's role. I don't know, I did not love this one too much. It's basically, though, if you guys don't know the story, it's about, Abigail Breslin's character, Baby, along with her sister and her parents. They go to this kind of camp, kind of family-type camp, kind of in the mountain kind of areas, and they all kind of get together, and it's sort of like a Jewish kind of get-together type thing, and they're all there kind of just sort of relaxing, dancing. They have dancing classes, and they're just kind of all doing all these kind of things there. And Abigail Breslin's character is kind of her sister is kind of the one that's kind of more popular, played by Sarah Hyland, and her character is kind of not kind of coming into her own, and she ends up kind of discovering, the dancing that's going on was kind of the dirty dancing, which is, originally was Patrick Swayze's character's, teaching kind of behind closed doors there, and she kind of becomes invested in him, and it's kind of their relationship, and her, Abigail's parents don't like what's going on because he's kind of the bad boy. I don't know, the original movie was just such a classic movie, and this one, it still was okay. If you guys want to see a musical take on the whole thing, when it's kind of they added a lot of new stuff to this as well, but a lot of the scenes were some of the same stuff, and they were just kind of changed around a little bit. I don't know, I watched the making of stuff as well on here, and they're talking about making it and the changes they made and stuff. It's definitely a different take on the whole thing, but it doesn't in any way, cancel out the original movie. The original is, like I said, just such a classic movie. You really can't have anyone replace Patrick Swayze. You really just can't. And this was, like I said, it was okay, but nothing amazing whatsoever. The next one here from Lionsgate as well, and this is the complete series, the 4-disc set of Power Rangers Dino Supercharged, and this is the latest series of Power Rangers. When they do the series in the last, they've done it for years now. They have the last one before this was Power Rangers Dino Charge, and then it became Power Rangers Super Dino Charge, and that's usually they do 2 series of with the specific characters, and then they go on to a new one. So I don't know if they started a new one after this yet or not. That's what I'm not 100% certain, is if they've had a new Power Rangers come in. But this is, all of the Super Dino Charge episodes together, and it's 4 different discs in here. And these have been released in some of the volumes as well. I think they had 2 volumes in the past, just compilation sets of these, but now, like I said, they're all together in a set, together. And I feel like this was actually a pretty good season of the show. I watched both of these past seasons. I like to kind of, as a kid, though, I always used to watch, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and like to kind of come in and watch the new ones as well. And like I said, I thought this was actually a pretty fun series, and I thought the actors in these is good. And this one, they kind of get their powers from these crystals, these old dinosaur crystals, and then that and Supercharged one is dealing with these aliens, and sending down these people that Power Rangers have to fight and save the day from, and that kind of stuff. But if you guys are a fan of the latest series, like I said, just let you guys know they're all together now. This one in a brand new set like this, of the complete series of the Dino Supercharged series. And the next one from Lionsgate as well, and this is one I was really interested in seeing. I really didn't know what I was going to think of this one going into this, because, you know, it's, you know, like I talked about earlier with the Power Rangers, you know, I grew up with the Power Rangers. I loved, you know, the original series as a kid. I remember even having like a Power Rangers birthday party. I remember all the stuff with the action figures, you know, how hard it was to get them, and I had this woman who I was friends with that worked at Toys R Us who used to save me the really rare ones and stuff. So I was really into Power Rangers, you know, especially the original series. So I didn't know going into it what I was going to think of, you know, the new Power Rangers reboot film. And, you know, and it's basically, like I said, based on the original series. And this has like a lot more to the origin of the Power Rangers and how they came to be. But I really surprisingly got into this movie a whole lot more than I thought I was. Like, I honestly didn't know. I thought I might not like this. I really didn't know. And surprisingly, though, I thought it was, I got really into this. And I even at one point cried. I don't know. I don't know. I have to be honest. I like this movie. I really did enjoy this movie a whole lot more than I thought I was. But this is basically, though, the whole origin. And the whole thing starts, though, by one kid who ends up getting in school detention, and he has to go on Saturday, and it's kind of him and all the people there. And he has to go to detention because of this prank that he did, and he has to wear an ankle monitor on his leg. But he ends up meeting this one kid at detention who's getting bullied, and he kind of helps the kid. And the kid says to him, "Listen, I know you have that ankle monitor on, and I can, you know, fix that so it looks like, you know, you are at home. You don't have to go home because at a certain time you have to be and all that stuff. But if you know, but you have to come with me and to go out to this quarry area. I have something I have to do." So he ends up going out with him, and the kid goes out there and causes this huge explosion because he's digging for these rocks. But what ends up happening, though, is there's these other kids that are out there as well who are in detention. And because of like that, they discover these rocks. And then there's this whole thing about them getting, you know, running away from the security out there in the quarry area. And then they get hit by a train. And this is not spoiling anything. And that's how they become the Power Rangers. And they have like all their superpowers. And they don't know what's going on at first. And then they end up, you know, coming to Zordon. And that's where the movie really picks up. And I like the Zordon character in this. You know, Bryan Cranston does the voice of and plays Zordon in it. And like, I don't know, I like the way he did it. And what was cool about that too was he did a couple voices in the original series, so it was cool to have him in this one. And the Rita character is the villain, and she was the villain in the original series as well as another number of other, you know, monsters and stuff. You know, Elizabeth Banks plays her, and it's a different portrayal of Rita, though, because like in the original it was more like, oh, it's the Power Rangers, and it was all that kind of real crazy. She does it much more toned down, but I really enjoyed this movie, and it's them having to try and fight her. But I thought this movie was a whole lot better than I thought I was. It has on here, though, a ton of features. It has like one deleted scene, which, you know, there's a lot of talk about this deleted scene, which was a kiss scene, and then it has like tons of deleted scenes, and also has these two cameo deleted scene as well with two of the original Power Rangers. It has a bunch of featurettes on here. It has outtakes. It has a commentary track on here. So tons of stuff. Now when it comes to 4K though, the 4K on this one is probably some of the best 4K I've seen, especially the stuff in the Zordon's ship, you know, the Zordon's lair where they are. The colors in there are amazing, especially the colors on the suits. This is one too I really will say 4K. I didn't see this one in theaters, so only the first time I saw this was at home in 4K. I will say though, to me, this is one of the ones that really, really looks good on 4K, because there's some things when you see them in 4K, you don't see a huge difference to them, and they kind of like a little bit better. But with this, you know, the HDR, the high dynamic range, is all about the contrast levels and really, really great color levels in this, especially on the Power Rangers costumes themselves and in the, you know, Zordon's lair. Definitely one, though, I would recommend if you guys have a 4K TV and a player, would be one I would say for sure to get. And the next one here from Anchor Bay, this is a movie starring the movie called The Gray Lady, which was actually a pretty interesting movie. Rebecca Gayheart was actually in this as well, because she's married to the lead in this, Eric Dane, so it's kind of cool to see her in a new movie, because I haven't seen her in a movie in a really long time. Like, I always remember her from, you know, Urban Legends and Jawbreaker, but she was in this movie for a little part in the beginning, because it's about this guy whose partner ends up getting, you know, killed by they're kind of going into there to try and find this killer, and she, you know, is kind of going around killing all these women. And, you know, when they get there, the partner ends up getting killed, and it's kind of him, you know, trying to, you know, find the person that was responsible for this, who was like kind of, and he basically has become like obsessed with this because of what had happened, and he wants to find the person. And it's kind of like the only, like, after the, you know, this partner had died, she died, he kind of can't like think about anything else, and it's kind of him, you know, not really able to do his job anymore, and he's kind of going back to this kind of like he's kind of told to stop investigating this, and like he needs to move on, and the other people are kind of looking into it and trying to see if they can solve it, but he needs to kind of stop with the whole thing, but he can't, and he's kind of defying what his bosses are saying, and he's going to this one area in this town, and he believes that he might have finally figured out who this person is. So he's kind of there doing investigations and trying to get to the bottom of who was the person that killed his partner, and trying to figure out the whole thing. And that's pretty much essentially what it is just basically about someone who's totally obsessed about the whole thing and trying to figure out who this person is and get to the bottom of the whole thing while he's told not to do it. And that's essentially what it is. It's got like, it's actually a pretty well done thing. Like I said, it was pretty cool too to see Rebecca Gayheart, like, and even though it was a small part, to see her again in something. Because like I said, I had not seen her in a movie in a really, really long time. But definitely an interesting thriller type film. The next one here from Sony, and this is one I was so excited to see this. I saw this one in theaters as well. And it was one of those ones too, and you never know for sure what it's going to be like when you do a film when it's like, years later after the original. I think it was, it was 20 years later. I'm pretty sure it was exactly 20 years from when the original film was made. And this is, T2, Trainspotting 2, which I love this movie. I thought this was amazing. And, Danny Boyle, directed this because he directed the original film as well. And, everybody came back from the original film. All the characters, which I thought was so cool to see them all again. And it's like, it's basically just seeing these characters 20 years later and like seeing where they are in their lives. And, Ewan McGregor's character, I don't want to ruin what happened in the first movie, but it deals with like something bad they were planning with money and stuff that, kind of went awry and all that. But it's basically, though, Ewan McGregor's character has come back to the small town where he lived, and he hasn't been there in 20 years since what he did in the last movie, and kind of messed over some of the people that he was with. And he kind of comes back into the town, and like everybody's like not really, they're sort of happy to see him, but at the same time they're not. And it's kind of showing, Ewan McGregor has kind of moved on in his life, and he's kind of like got a family, and he's kind of got his life together. And then the one guy is still on drugs, and because like the first movie really dealt with a whole like huge subject of drugs and all kinds of heroin and all kind of problems and that they were going through with addictions and all that kind of stuff. The other character is basically like in jail and, escaping from prison. And I love this. Robert Carlyle is the one who was in jail and escaping from prison. And I don't know, just to see these characters again, and some of the sequences in this movie were amazing, especially some of the ones involving like the drug sequences and like trying to stay off of it. Because they're trying, like, the one, some of them were trying to not get back into that, and there was some amazing sequences in this movie. I don't know, I just love to see them all together again, and then, Robert Carlyle's character, when he finds out that Ewan McGregor is back in the town, like, he really wants to kind of, hunt him down and, like, take him out, like, he's so mad that he's, back in the town. I don't know, like I said, I can't talk too much about the whole thing, because I don't really want to ruin the other movie, but it was one of those things, like I said, because there's been a lot of those movies recently when they kind of, years later and getting everyone back, and this one to me really, really worked. It has on here, though, deleted scenes. It has 20 years in the making, a conversation with Danny Boyle and the cast, talking about the, this movie and coming back and doing this, as well as a commentary track on here with Danny Boyle. But if you guys are a fan of the first movie, definitely check this one out. Really, really, really well done sequel, follow-up to this one. And, like, it's probably, I think out of all the Danny Boyle movies, like, my favorite one is probably, the original Trainspotting, tied with Shallow Graves. Shallow Graves is also an amazing one, when it comes to this style, and then, 28 Days Later. But definitely check this one out if you guys are a fan of the original movie and, definitely want to see all the characters again. And the next one here I got from Warner Brothers. They sent over, a free copy of this one to check out. I saw this one in theaters as well, and really thought this was a fun movie. I didn't watch the show. Like, I think I saw, like, a little bit of it, like, clips of it here and there. I know, Eric Estrada was in the original film, original show, but I never really watched it, so I didn't have, like, huge ties to the original show. But this is, Chips, and this is, directed by Dax Shepard, and stars Dax Shepard and Michael Peña. And, I liked the things that Dax Shepard has directed. I really liked Hit and Run as well. I thought, like, he's kind of goes for really over the top kind of raunchy type comedies and stuff like that, and I kind of liked that it went for a raunchy take on this, and I thought there was actually some pretty funny stuff in this, to be 100% honest. And it's basically, though, about these two cops, and Dax Shepard's character that was a bicyclist and like a crazy stunt kind of guy, and his marriage is all falling apart, so he's kind of like trying to get himself like a steady career and get his life back together, and hopefully try and get his wife back. and he kind of goes in there to work with Michael Peña. It's kind of like them trying to solve things and like bad things that are happening. And like Dax Shepard is basically like he has to like kind of all these quotas that he has to do, otherwise he's not going to be able to stay in the, you know, as a cop. Like he has to write all these tickets and stuff. And it's kind of like he's having all these kind of problems. Everything in his life is really going wrong, and both of them too are having a hard time getting along with each other, and they come to something they have to try and solve to and work together. I don't like, for some reason though, I really thought this was actually a pretty funny movie. Like I don't know, I really did. I know it's got a lot of mixed reviews and stuff, but I thought both of them together really worked well together. And I always liked Michael Peña doing comedy. I think like one of the other ones that I really loved him in doing comedy, and he was really, really different in that one, was Observe and Report. And he was like in the mall, he worked alongside, you know, Seth Rogen in that. But I thought this was a, you know, if you guys want to see like a really raunchy kind of cop comedy, and like I said, I can't really relate to the series though, because I really never really watched it, so I don't know how much of this is like the series, you know, when it comes to like the characters themselves and stuff like that. But it has on here though, you know, a bunch of different featurettes on here, as well as deleted scenes on this one. The next one here from Warner Brothers as well, and these were sent over for free to review as well, these other Warner Brothers ones. And this is, you know, from the Warner Archive collection, and this is, you know, Joe versus the Volcano. This is a Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan movie, which I had never seen before. And, like, it's, like, got this real, like, kind of weird futuristic kind of alternate reality kind of vibe to this, which I like. Not really futuristic, but the alternate reality kind of thing to it that I like. That I like those kind of things that are set in like an alternate universe kind of feel, because there's something really strange about it. Some of the kind of stuff where Tom Hanks's character worked was reminding me of the movie Meet the Hollowheads. That kind of like weird alternate thing, like I guess you could say futuristic in a way, because Meet the Hollowheads had that weird kind of technology and weird food they were eating and everything. Like I said, it's called Joe versus the Volcano, and it's Tom Hanks works in this terrible place making like I think he's making like, what was the kind of, I can't remember what it was, but some kind of like lubricant or something weird he was making. I can't remember what it was, but it was something really gross that he was making, and he was like working in this factory. And he's like, you know, he's kind of like really depressed, and he's always sick all the time. He's always going to the doctors, and like he's like, you know, kind of a wreck. And Meg Ryan's character though plays 3 different people in this movie, you know, but they're like not the same, like, they're not in any way connected. But she plays 3 totally different characters throughout this movie. But it's basically though, he goes to the doctor, and the doctor says to him, "Oh, I'm sorry, but you have a brain cloud, and you're gonna die in a couple months. And if I were you, I would, you know, do something with your life." And so basically, Tom Hanks finds out about this, and you know, believes that he's gonna die, and whatever this brain cloud thing is. So he ends up, you know, going crazy and basically quitting his job. And then then this one guy comes to him and says, "Oh, I'll give you all these credit card, you know, a bunch of my credit cards. You can go and do whatever you want with the money and stuff, but you have to go to this island and jump into this volcano and kill yourself, because there's this tribe, and on the island there's something there I need to buy from them, and they'll only give it to me because I need this to like manufacture something that I'm working on. If you go there and jump into this volcano, and no one there wants to do it, but if you do it, I'll give you all this, you know, these credit cards. You can live like a king, and you know, we'll take you on this boat journey to do it." So it's kind of him going, "Okay, I'm going to die anyway, so I'll go there and do this." And you know, he's, for the first time in his life, he has money, so he's going and getting suits, and the stuff with him getting the suits is great though. And like I said, Meg Ryan's character plays 3 different people. The one that he works with at the job that he likes. When she finds out that he's dying, though, she doesn't want anything to do with him. And then 2 other characters, so I won't spoil who they are and how they come into his life and stuff. Meg Ryan, though, has this one character, though, she does, without saying too much. It's like this Hollywood LA type, and she's like, "Oh, well, so," it's like this really weird accent and voice that she's doing. I don't know, I thought this was just a really, really fun movie. And like I said, I don't know how I had never seen this one before. And you know, like I said, it's from the Warner Archive collection, though. Really good picture quality on this one. The next one here from the Warner Archive collection as well. And this is kind of the spin-off series to Moses Jones. And this is the series called Ozzy and Drix, the complete, is it Drax? I think it's Drix, the complete series. And this is, you know, if you remember in Moses Jones, it was about the, you know, the character, and he was a white blood cell, I believe that's what he was, and he was inside of Bill Murray, and like Bill Murray was kind of like played this really gross kind of character, and he was in there. And in this one though, it's kind of a, you know, like I said, the spin-off series with the same characters. And it's kind of like the white blood cell and then the pill kind of character inside of this kid. And it's kind of like, I feel like this show definitely inspired Inside Out a little bit, because it's got that same kind of feel to it. And they're in there kind of like battling germs and battling like codes and all kind of problems and stuff, and trying to like, inside they're kind of trying to keep this kid healthy. And like there's like super villains that are like, you know, like I said, the germs and stuff like that are inside the kid and stuff. I don't know, it's a fun series. And the episodes are actually pretty good. I remember watching a couple of these ones when these were on. I think it was on in like 2003 or something like that. I can't remember exactly for sure when it aired, but it's got the entire series. It ran for 2 seasons, this show, but it's, you know, all you know, both the seasons in here in the complete series of this. The next one here, this was actually a really cool movie. This is from Dark Sky Films, and it's a movie called Another Evil. And the one guy in here really reminds me a little bit of Billy Corgan. Like, he kind of looks a little bit like Billy Corgan. But I thought this was like a really funny movie. And some of these kind of movies like this, I don't like really care for too much, when they're kind of like done this kind of silly kind of way. But this one, on the other hand, actually to me worked. And like, I know both of these two work together really well. It's about this guy who's like, you know, a painter with his family, and he's staying in this kind of like summer kind of like vacation house out in the middle of the woods, kind of in this like kind of quaint small town kind of area. And all of a sudden, though, the one kid, the son, says, "Oh, Dad, there's like somebody in my room," and they, you know, and the father goes to look, and they see these like weird ghosts, and he finds out that like these like dead people are like in the house, and he doesn't know what to do, and he calls this one guy in, like this ghost hunter, and he's like, "Oh, it's okay. They're not bad ghosts. You know, even though they look kind of creepy and stuff, you know, they're actually good ghosts, and you don't have to worry about them." And the father is like, "Well, I don't know about that." So then he calls in this other guy, and the other guy kind of comes in, and he's very strange, and he's like putting like these crystals across the wall, and he doesn't seem like he knows what he's doing, and he's like saying things really peculiar. And what ends up happening, though, is it's both the father and this guy staying in the house trying to get rid of these ghosts. And it's like it goes in these really weird directions, because like the guy who's like the ghost hunter is like really, really lonely, and he's like telling him his whole life story, and it's like just these weird encounter between both of them, and the weird stuff that's going on with this guy. And it was absolutely, to be honest, amazing, some of this. Like, I really like this. It kind of was reminding me of like the humor of something a little bit like The Greasy Strangler, a little bit like that kind of peculiar, weird humor. And it's like, either you're gonna like this or you're not. I like this kind of stuff, and I like both of them together, and it goes in really dark stuff going on. Dax Flame plays the son in this. So it's kind of cool to see him again, because, you know, I don't remember what he did on YouTube, but I know he was like a YouTuber, but he was in a couple other movies as well. But he like plays the son in this. And there's also a couple other like comedy actors in here doing like some cameos and stuff that I recognize from some other stuff in this. But I thought this was actually really, really funny comedy horror movie. The next one here from Viva Pictures is a movie called Car Dogs. This is basically all set in a car dealership, and it's about this guy who's like the manager there, who works for his father, and his father is like really, really controlling and mean, and doesn't really care about his employees, and he's kind of scheming up all kinds of stuff, and the business is not really doing that great. And like the son kind of comes to find out that some of the employees are not going to get paid coming up, and he's like saying, "Well, what are we going to do? What am I going to tell them? You know, they all live paycheck to paycheck. They need this money." And the father's like, "Oh, I don't care, don't worry about this." And the father basically says to the son that, you know, if he's, because they need to have this quota to sell these cars, and he says to him, like, you know, if you can sell this certain amount of cars today, you know, they're trying to plan to open up this new dealership. And he's like, "Well, I'll make you the head of this, the new dealership, and it'll be your dealership. You'll be in charge of everything. But you have to do, you know, sell these cars. You have to kind of not worry about these employees and kind of brush them under the, you know, carpet, not worry about them. You have to fire some of them." And he's kind of telling him all these kind of things to do, and it's kind of him having to decide, you know, if he can do this and kind of betray the people that he works with, and, you know, if he can kind of like, you know, forget about, you know, the friendships that he has with these people, and kind of, you know, do the kind of the wrong thing to get ahead and get this business. And, you know, George Lopez in this movie is one of the people that works there. The one actress from, you know, Big Fat Greek Wedding, Octavia Spencer, has a a cameo in this one. So a bunch of different people have like cameos and stuff in this movie. It's actually a pretty fun thing. Like it's kind of got that sort of like Office Space kind of feel, sort of about like the people all working together and they're all kind of set up their problems and that kind of thing. But it's kind of a fun movie though. The next one here from Monarch Home Entertainment is a movie called A Midsummer's Hawaiian Dream, and this is it's a movie about, like, it was an interesting concept. It was like this guy who wants to try and open up this mall in this island in Hawaii, and a woman is like has an expedition team there, like working for it's like this husband and wife, and then these two younger people that are kind of like the students of the one, and they both kind of like each other, and they're kind of like not sure how to tell each other, and it's kind of them, you know, on this island because they're trying to find any like signs of like stuff from the past, like a tribe there who lived there in the past, to show that it's like a place where you couldn't do, you know, put a mall site on, and you have to like leave it as untouched land, and it's kind of them there trying to, like, you know, see if they can find any like remnants of the past there to keep this from happening, to keep this guy from going and, you know, taking the land and being able to build this mall and make all this money off this land. Then it's also this one guy there too with his guy who's with him trying to buy the land because he says that there's something that he needs there to sell, this kind of herbs and stuff like that. So he's there trying to find this stuff as well, so he can try and buy the land. So it's like him and like this one sort of bumbling guy going around trying to like stop this from happening. But it basically deals though with both of them, this couple that are, you know, they've been married for years and they're kind of like, their relationship is kind of not that great. But then these two there who are trying to figure out about themselves, and it's kind of like them wishing they could be like them, but at the same time they don't know how to like tell each other they like them. It's a whole interesting thing, all this kind of love stuff going on in this whole island with the basis of trying to find this archaeological like stuff from the past to try and keep the mall from being built. Like I said, it's kind of a weird kind of concept, and it's built. And it also has the Midsummer Night's Dream thing. But I have to be honest, I don't really remember what that story exactly was too much. Like I know I read it in school and stuff like that, and I think I saw another movie on that, but I didn't really remember the whole basis of that, to be honest. The next one here from Mill Creek, and this is a pretty cool set here. This is the entire complete series of the Rockfield Files, the Rockfield Fires. You know, the complete series of this show. And this aired from like 1970. I think it was the late 70s to the early 80s. I'm pretty sure. I can't remember 100% certain like the years that this show aired. But I have to say though, I was watching through a bunch of these episodes. Looks absolutely amazing. Like Mill Creek did a really, really good job. You know, with the, clean this show up. And it's so cool too to see these shows released on Blu-ray and in HD, because these things have never been seen in HD quality before. And I'll show you guys a look at how the ones look. They're all in the single season sets here inside of the discs like this, and I think most of them are double stacked, with 2 discs like that, and it has the complete first season here, the complete second season of the show, the complete third season, and the complete 4th season, and then 5th and 6th season. But the show though looks absolutely great on Blu-ray, and if you guys are a fan of this show, it's basically about this guy who's a detective, and it's kind of him trying to solve these crimes and certain types of stuff, and that's basically what it is. It's like a sort of like Columbo a little bit, trying to solve these kind of cases and stuff, and each episode is a different case, and some of them kind of go on to be like double episodes and stuff like that. But like if you guys are a fan of this show though, definitely worth checking out though. Really, really good picture quality, and definitely a improvement of the past releases of this. And I don't think there had ever been a complete series of that show, as far as I know, like a set like that in the past. The next one here from Vinegar Syndrome. Keep in mind though, this one here is an adult film though, and it's a movie called A Touch of Genie. And this was actually kind of funny though. It's about this like really nerdy guy who doesn't have a lot of luck with the ladies and stuff like that, and he finds this like genie lamp, and he ends up awakening this one from the genie lamp. And it's one of those ones too where it was like the guy wasn't involved in any of the adult stuff. It was kind of like, I think the guy probably didn't want to. I don't think he would have. It would be kind of funnier if he was, to be honest, because he was kind of a weird guy. And he ends up awakening this genie, and he has these wishes that he has to, you know, give to the genie, and it's kind of him that he wishes he was like these porn stars, because the guy is always going to the porn theater and watching these adult movies, and he's wearing these peculiar disguises, like a weird fake nose and stuff when he goes there, and he kind of, his dream is just to kind of live through these porn stars, and he's like, and then you see the porn stars, and he's like dubbing over their voices, going, "Oh wow, this is great, this is really a great time, oh this is really," and it's kind of just him like sleeping with the porn stars and stuff like that, and that's pretty much essentially what it is. But you know, as usual, Vinegar Syndrome did an amazing job cleaning this one up. It's got a brand new 2K scan on here, and it has an interview too with like this adult film actor who was in like 250 something adult films, and he's kind of telling this interesting story too about him at the swingers club and stuff. Like, I really liked this interview he did. It was just like him talking about all these random things that he went through in his life, but he was in a ton of these adult films and stuff, and like even ones in other countries and like in Sweden and stuff like that. And but I thought this was actually, like I said, a pretty like interesting concept thing. You know, like I said, keep in mind it is an adult film though. And next one from Vinegar Syndrome as well is a movie called Killer's Curse. Well, I switched to that cover, but the other cover is under the title of Nurse Sherry. I think that's the title for on the website though. But it's like basically though about this woman, this guy who's like this crazy preacher. The thing too about this movie was, you know, it was like a really, really good picture, but it was kind of funny though, like all the best quality stuff, like it was almost like the one actor in this movie like kept all of his scenes like under his bed in like perfect quality, because like his scenes were all like amazing sharpness, like this 2K like picture was amazing, but all the other stuff was like wasn't as good quality. It was all this one guy's stuff was amazing, and then the other stuff didn't look as good. Like I said, I kept on imagining like the guy like kept his stuff maybe in a refrigerator so it didn't like go bad like the film and stuff, because all of his stuff was amazing. But like it was basically though about this weird preacher guy. It's like, and he's got these like followers with him, and he does this weird thing, and something ends up happening to him. He ends up in the hospital, and the concept of this movie is so peculiar though, because then this nurse, where the guy was taken, gets like possessed, and then like she like is like doesn't really know what's going on, and like weird things start to happen to her, and then like people in the hospital end up like getting killed and stuff like that. And that's, I'm like totally mixing up what was happening, because it was one of those movies like I watched the whole thing, and then after I watched it I'm like, wait a minute, what was going on in this movie? Because it was kind of like one of those movies where it felt like they were kind of making it up as they were going along, because like the concept of the whole thing was really peculiar, and like there was some really, really like great like cheesy effects of when the woman did get like possessed, because you don't even, she's possessed, but you hardly even know what was happening, because like I said, the movie was so confused with what was happening. That was kind of what made the movie kind of amazing, was because like the whole movie just sort of felt confused, and like all these weird people that were in the hospital, and this one guy who was blind, and like it was all this weird stuff that was happening in this movie. It was just a very, like I said, very confused, peculiar, but cool movie. And like the guy who directed this made like The Blazing Stewardesses and a bunch of other ones as well. Like I said, it looks really good. Even the stuff though that wasn't as good a quality looked really good as well. But it was just really weird how like all the scenes with that one guy, and it looked amazing though. It has on here though interview on here with one of the actresses on here, and it also has an alternate version of the movie, the exploitation version of the movie. I don't know what was different though. I didn't get to watch that version, but it was a different cut of the movie, but that one's not in HD as well on here. But like I said, an interesting but very confused, weird movie. But anyway though guys, that's all for this update video. Thanks for watching, subscribing, and I'll see you guys later.